Okay, so for the wings, it calls for light bustard, Amherst pheasant, and swan dyed scarlet and yellow. In this case, I'm going to be using turkey tail, which I always thought it was interesting that it called for scarlet instead of an orange red or a red orange. Seeing as how like ibis is kind of a pinkish orangish red, and the underwing is an orange red, but that's what the cat pattern calls for. So I've got the materials here, and let's go ahead and get these put together. So we'll start by pulling the Amherst first, and we'll go up, and we want to find, if you see spots like this where they're curled a little bit, see that curling that it does? Let's try to get another shot of it. We don't typically want to use that one. I might take that section over to be steamed at some point, but for now I won't be using that part of the tail. So we just look down through the tail. We find a section where things look straight. They don't look like they're curved or twisted, or even here where it's kind of broken up a little bit. That can all be remarried, but I'd rather not mess with that. Not right now. This right here isn't terrible. It's a little longer than I need. I like to try to stay close to the length that I actually need. That way if I need some longer stuff later, I have it. But I think right here looks like a nice section. So I'm doing 3 strips of each per section, which means I'm going to need 6 of these per side. And you'll see why in just a moment. Got those. And the opposite side. Which, as you can see, actually this one has more curling to it on just about all the tips. I've got another feather here. I'll try to take from this one if I can. Pardon me. Choosing Amherst is kind of difficult because it's Amherst and golden pheasant are not known for playing nice. They don't stay together well. They can be rather nice to work with. They can marry okay, but a lot of times they are a little on the difficult side. They're not the easiest material to work with. So if you're tying this fly, or you're tying anything that's, it's got Amherst and you're new to using it, just be patient with it. It just takes a little bit of finesse, that's all. Alright, so I'm going to take it. I'm actually not too happy with the upper part of this. I'm not sure if you can see how translucent that is, but right through here is a bit more translucent than I'd like it to be. That just means, to me, that just means that there's not a whole lot of connective fibers holding it all together. See if you can pull on it very gently like that and it just comes right apart. It's probably going to not work well with you. Let's see. See if these will be good. It's a little more than I need, but a little longer than I need, rather. But it will work. Let's get these out of the way. Alright, so for the bustard, same deal. 6 pieces. Bustard, on the other hand, typically marries very well. And then you can see that one bustard piece just went right back on. No big deal. And then for the red, scarlet, it will do the same, 6 pieces. And then our yellow. And if you see the difference, this is a center turkey tail where you can take from both sides of the stem, and these are side tails where you're typically only taking from one side of the feather. Now with the yellow is the only one that doesn't have double barring on this wing, at least the way that I'm going to do it. So for this one, I'm only going to do 4 or 5 strips. That's 5. But as you can see, these are plenty long, they're in good shape, and they'll definitely marry up nicely. Just as nice as any center tail. Okay, so now we're going to split everything except the yellow in 2. So 3 and 3. Bustard, 3 and 3. And then the red, 3 and 3. Okay, so to make this wing, we'll take the yellow in the center, put red on the top, now remember when you're marrying them to make sure that your tips stay lined up so that way they form an angle. Now these came from all different feathers, obviously, so the angle on each feather might be a little bit different, so you might have to do a little bit of just a little bit of adjusting on these feather pieces, and I'll show you how to do that as well. You have to manipulate them just a little bit. Okay, so those went on pretty good. But to manipulate these and change this angle, all you got to do is just hold the butt end, hold the middle here, rotate the butt end, and then after you've rotated that, very gently pull it through your fingers on the other hand. And what that's going to do is very slowly start changing the angle on the tip, as you can see. And then to go back, just hold it and go back the other way. Okay, so we got red on the top, now we'll put red on the bottom of the yellow. Nope. Might have some dogs barking here in just a second. Oh, there they go. Rocky. Alright, so then on top of the red, we'll put a layer of Amherst. And just very gently get those together. It'll go. The Amherst won't hold tight, but it'll go. So if you're gentle after that, it'll be alright. And then the Amherst on the bottom, under the red. No. And then the bustard, top and bottom. Again, making sure we line up these tips all the while. Okay, that's how you marry up the wings for the black dog. At least this is the way I'm doing it. You can kind of orientate these. You can arrange them however you like. This seems to be a rather, I guess, common way of doing it. I've seen it done this way before, and I really love the pattern. So this is how I've chosen to do it. I'm going to go ahead and put the other one together, and I'll see you guys back at the vise. Okay. Now that we've got the wing all married up, let's add the jungle cock. This is also part of the underwing as well. So I've picked out a pair of jungle cock eyes that I think fit this well and they match. I'll get those tied in. And I think they should be a little bit on the long side. Not terribly long, but I like to have the eye reach about the butt. And then again, I'll also pinch the stem on this one. That may roll just a little bit. So what you can do is pinch at your tie-in point and then twist the feather toward the center of the fly, so the top of the feather will go in. And what that does is twists the stem just a little bit, enough that it will help the feather lay flatter. The reason it wants to roll is right here. The hook is a rounded surface, it's not a flat surface. And then right here with the thread from the underwing, that creates kind of an angle for it to sit on, in which case the feather will want to kind of sit a little bit of an angle. So just by doing that a little bit, twisting it a little, that'll help you get your feather to sit a little bit straighter. Prepare the other side now. Like that. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of wax. Probably should have waxed my thread before putting those on, but they went on relatively easily. And just to hold it in place, I'm going to add a small little drop of Sally Hansen's. Just that tiny bit. Dries, we'll snip these off. Okay. I'll just make a couple adjustments and take a look at the rest of the fly while that dries. This hackle does seem a little on the wild side. As a matter of fact, when this fly is complete, I'm going to take this over to a boiling pot of water and just hold the hackles over it a little bit and that'll actually steam those out, and they'll straighten right out. Those little, the curled, these curled tips, that'll go right away, and I'll be able to straighten that out a little bit better. But so far, I'm very happy with how this is turning out. Okay, so now I'm going to set the wing. These wings are always ones that give me fits on this fly. Mainly because when you're looking at these wings, you've got some very stiff material on top and bottom. The bustard is quite stiff and thick, but then you've got some thinner, less stiff material, the Amherst, which doesn't like to hold together well, and then you've got even softer material, which, even though it's turkey, it is still a little bit softer. If it was swan, it would be even softer still. So that kind of allows or leaves room for collapse. You got heavy, thicker materials pushing on not so heavy materials. So we take the wing, make sure everything is lined up the way we want it. We'll get a little bit of a curvature to it. Get that little boat shape by pinching the top. And just by holding it barely by those top fibers, the bottom typically will splay open a little bit. And that'll allow you to tuck the underwing in. We'll lay that down on top of it. Line it up with the tail where we want. I'll line it up the tip of the wing with the tip of the tail. And then we'll pinch down up front. And I'm going to slowly start to help it collapse a little. I'm just using my fingers to slowly start pinching it down and kind of creating that a little bit of a spot for the thread to bite into. And we'll get the thread over the top, and I'm just going to let that hang, and I'm going to help that thread settle in, and we're going to assist these fibers as they accordion down. And we'll add another wrap of thread. And a third. And a fourth. Now at this point you should pretty well have, it should be pretty well set. So let's go ahead and let go and see where our wing is at. Okay, not terrible. A couple things I'm noticing though. Right here we have separation. See where that Amherst is separating from the red? That's no good. So that's got to come off. That separation is a collapse, is what they call that. So we'll have to pull the wing back off and make sure that that's married back up properly. Backside looks like it held up well. Alright, let's try it again. And our underwings are a little bit disheveled, but that can be realigned in a little while. Okay, so let's try this one more time. You can already see it wants to separate again right in the same spot. Okay. And a little bit of a deeper bend into it. I'm kind of hoping that'll help a little. Come on now. Okay. Where were we? Alright, so those are lined up, tip with the tail. And we kind of already have a groove that the thread was in. Hopefully the thread will find that groove again. Hold on. This underwing is just not, I'm not happy with it right now. Okay. So I've got that lined up there. This is why it's good to start helping it accordion a little. Otherwise, when you make that first wrap, it'll sometimes pull the top of the wing over. There we go. Okay, let's take a look. That's better. How's the backside look? Not bad. I'd like the wing to sit a little bit higher. Alright. Oh boy. My bustard folded over right here in the front. That was looking good too. Let's see if that's all it needed, was just that little bit of adjustment. I don't like this right here where the bustard is. The reason that's doing that though is that tinsel right there is pushing it out away from the body a little. Maybe something I have to live with. And then we'll make a few more adjustments through here. Okay, I'm going to leave that. I like that. We'll hit that with a little bit of Sally Hansen to hold that in place. And then we'll be back to finish it up. Finishing touches are a pair of unbarred wood duck, which we're going to put on the side here and one on the other side. And then 2 toppings. And this fly will be complete. I'll see you guys momentarily. So we've given that plenty of time to dry. And now we're going to add these sides, which are unbarred wood duck. So what we'll do, we take the wood duck feather, and we're only going to use probably about this much of it. So we'll start to pull back some of these fibers, and we'll line this up right along the side here. See how it's going to look when it mounts. And I like that, actually. So now we're going to take the rest of this and just strip away the rest of these fibers. And then right here at the tie-in point, I'm just going to do one loose wrap. We'll kind of see how that looks. And position that a little bit. That's better. I'm not overly happy with this one. This one might actually be better suited for the opposite side. So let's see. Let's look at the feather I chose for the opposite side. Yes, dinner beeps. We've got dinner noises going on. So this was the one I chose for the opposite side. Let's see how that looks on this side. They're so similar that it's very difficult to see which side is which. A lot of people use teal or pintail. And I've seen it sides on the pattern, but in Kelson's book, he definitely describes it as, the recipe definitely is wood duck. So, yep, I had it right the first time. Go. And hold that one in place. And a couple of thread wraps. And a little drop in S&H. You notice I'm putting this on the front part of where I tied in, so that way it doesn't leach into the rest. This part will all get cut off. So I've got my toppings already all picked out. I actually went through these, it took a little bit, and I just wanted to try and save on some time. So this one, I haven't trimmed them down or anything yet. This one I chose to be the shorter one. Since there's two toppings, you want one that's a little bit shorter, one that's a little bit longer. So So the shorter one here, which I may actually even shorten a little bit more. So to shorten it, all we do is just go to where we made the kink and where our tie-in point is going to be. Pinch that with our tweezers, and then just use your finger to make the crease in the stem. And that should give you exactly what you need. We'll get all these scragglers out of the way here. And we'll just use our scissors to trim these. Before we go ahead and set the toppings, we'll use a fresh razor blade, and we're going to cut away the excess wing material. With a nice fresh blade, very gently pinch down on both sides of the wing, and right in front of your tie-in point, just use the weight of your fingers and the blade. And I like to just rock it back and forth. Very gently pull away the cut fibers. You don't want to just go ahead and start grabbing and pulling on them. You may not have cut all the way through. And if you start grabbing and pulling, you might wind up pulling your wing apart. Underwings are under there as well. Cut through them, shorten those up. You can see I've cut a little thread. If you want, you can build up a little bit of the thread. A little bit of a thread there. There. Okay, we're ready for the toppings. Let's get the first one on first, the shorter one. And now all I'm doing is just making small little bends and adjustments in the stem here, and that's just helping me create a curve to it so it mirrors this curve here in the front. Downside is you kind of get some of these wild fibers going on. I think that's going to look good. Now, just like with everything else, you gotta make sure that you flatten your stem down. If you don't flatten the stem, when you go to mount the second one, it's not going to sit on that very well. It's going to want to roll off it. Because you're going to basically stack these two toppings, one on top of the other, right here. Bummer. I pulled my pulled the wood duck out on this side. Oh, and the other side. That is what we call a problem. I don't like what I'm doing here. If you look at my head, it's starting to take on a very strange shape, and I don't like that. My head should be starting farther up, should be starting right about here. Might be able to save it, but we shall see what happens. Okay, so here's the first one. Try this again. Okay, now for number 2, which should sit on top a little bit longer. I think I like that. So I'm just trimming up the sides really quick of that feather, and then pinching the rackets right here at the tie-in. Just making sure that's nice and flat. And then we'll put that on top. I like that. Don't like what's happening with the underwing, but that can be adjusted after. Alright, now if you look right here, this topping goes just a hair too tall, too long. So, we're going to compensate for that. We'll just move just a hair farther up, right here, by the tie-in. And that should take that little bit of length out of it. Still not quite enough. It's a very slow and steady process to get toppings to sit just right. You got to make sure you take all the necessary steps to make sure that they tie in right, and otherwise the struggle can go on and on and on. Let's see. I like the overall shape, but some adjusting definitely needs to happen. Oh, bummer. That backside wood duct came off again. Alright, so I'm going to have to put a little bit more Sally Hansen's on that and really let that dry. I didn't let it dry long enough. So let's just redo that just a little bit here. And we're going to let that dry, and I'll have to come back to this. So, back in a few. Well, it's actually the next day again. Had to cut it short due to tying with the giveaway winner from last month, which went very, very well. So, anyways, back to finishing up the fly. If this looks a little bit different, I had to actually take the fly out of the vise for a bit. So this is, it might be a little bit disheveled, but I think I've got it all back to where it should be. I'm really hoping I can not pull these sides out again. So setting that first topping on there, as you can see, it's sitting too high. Trying to get that to drop a little bit so it rides along the body more, or rides along the wing more. Downside to having to pause this last night is that I let the head dry completely. The Sally Hansen's I put on there, and that hardened completely, which makes it a little bit tougher to tie in these toppings. Okay. And usually with your material being a little on the soft side, the thread is able to draw that tie-in point on the topping down a little bit into the wing. And with it being completely dry, it's not able to do that. But we might be able to get away with it. Let's see. Yeah, that's a little bit out of sorts. I'm going to have to shape that last topping a little bit better. I'd like it to sit just a hair lower. Actually, this isn't looking too awful bad, actually. I might just... No, see, I'd like it to be just a little bit more down on the body. Not like that. We're laying down on the wing, right here on this front part. So to do that, all you got to do is just pinch in a little bit right here. And that should tuck it down in a little bit more. That's a little better. It'll take a little bit of preening, and there we are. I think that looks pretty good. I like the shape of it. The shape of the wing, the tail, and the topping all comes together to give it that nice really nice shape. So we're going to go ahead and call that good. This fly does not have horns, so we can just go ahead and make a head on the front, but as you can see, this is already kind of a funky shaped head, which I'm not overly thrilled with. I'm going to do my best to shape it a little bit better, but I think we may be stuck with a big nose. A little S and H on there. Let that dry and hold that in position. And we can start putting on our lacquer and finish this up. I can definitely say that this fly is as close to a nemesis of a fly for me as any. Every time I tie this fly, it always winds up presenting more challenges than any other. It always winds up just something does not want to go right. But the end result for this is pretty beautiful. So, Mr. Vice Donor, I hope you are pleased with this, as this will be put into a frame here in the next few days and will be headed your way. Trying to gently grab that piece of jungle cock under there, bring it back down into view. Just a little. There we go. There we are. Much better. I'm quite pleased. Black Dog is definitely a beautiful fly, but it is most certainly a challenging fly. Even though it doesn't look like it, it definitely has its challenges. Sharp pair of scissors. Of course. Oh, shoot. Yep. That's why I should have waited. Darn it. Okay. I think it's okay. Try to get some of these fibers on the back side too. Now, I imagine if this were a fishing fly, there would be golden pheasant topping more evenly split to both sides. But I think as an exhibition fly, as one that's going to go into a frame, the viewing side will probably have the majority. Obviously, because that would be the better, that would be the side that is seen. Well, I'm definitely going to let that just dry a bit more before messing around with the front, with the eye and the head. Because I'd like to try to trim up some of that right there. If I can get that off of there, I'd like to. And have the head just drop right off to there. Alright, I'll be back momentarily. Let's just let that dry more. Alright, been a few minutes. Hopefully that's enough time. Seem to have moved. So now, I get some wax on my thread. Got a healthy amount of wax on there this time. Just like right there. I'm going to take my whip finisher, give a quick whip finish. I'm going to do it right here in the front instead of in the back. Typically I would normally do it right up next to the topping. I'm going to do it right here in the front so it's right in the wax. I've also got a little bit of extra Sally Hansen's that I can see that's right there. So now when I melt this wax with my cauterizer, the topping's sitting a little high again. So now I can use the heat from the cauterizer to melt this little bit of wax here. Don't touch it. You can get very close to it. And that'll actually melt the wax enough to let it seep into your thread and... Oh, I may have touched it there. Some guys might not like this method, but it works very well for me. Now I'm going to make an attempt at removing just a little bit of this part in the front. This is kind of a delicate procedure. The problem is it's already got Sally Hansen's on it, so it's hardened, it's in place, but not completely irremovable. You can get the majority off of it with this method, just a razor blade and some tweezers, and then whatever's left, you don't want that still though. And whatever's left you can hit with the cauterizer and burn it off. Careful not to burn your gut. I think my tip is about shot on this too. Time for a new one. I do believe these cauterizers, you can get new tips for them. out the gut just a little bit. Okay, so the head on this is just going to be ugly. There's no way around that. I'm kind of short of the hook point. Not much else I can do. I am going to, however, add a little bit of wax to it. My old method. Which again, I don't think very many people do this. Some might not like it. But again, it works. And that's just taking some wax on the tip of your needle and just applying it to the front here. And what you can do by doing that is form a nice head that just, it'll at least look halfway decent, and it'll give you a foundation to put your lacquer or Solar black onto. I'm just filling in that gap that was there. Give the head a little bit more shape. Instead of that weird, I'm not even quite sure what that looked like. It was interesting though. Okay, so now it's just a little bit of housekeeping and a little bit of separation on that back wing. And here Amherst separated too. Amherst is wreaking havoc on this fly. As I said, this fly is my nemesis. I initially wasn't going to classify it as that, but I think it is. There we go. Come on. There we go. Okay. Whew. And then the toppings, of course, are now going to give me fits. End result is better. It's not perfect. Sorry to say it's not a perfect fly. But whose flies are perfect? I don't believe any of us are perfect. I think all our flies present, you know, some sort of challenge, and they present some sort of issue or thread wrap out of place or something that we personally know is not our best. But none of us are perfect. None of our flies are perfect. We can always strive for perfection, but I don't believe that even the best in the world are perfect. So don't worry about trying to be perfect. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy tying flies. Enjoy, just enjoy it all. I have to put on a mask, so if I get a little bit muffled, that's just why. I'm using Wapsi black lacquer for this one. It's a little bit thicker. It won't leach really bad. And I think this one, it'll coat and get into the there's a lot of little peaks and valleys in this head, so I think this will soak in nicely. Yes, I see that piece of tinsel there. I will get that. Boy, that head is big. Thank you, folks. Take a little bit of this off the bottom. Alright, folks. Well, this will do it for the black dog salmon fly from Kelson. This is in his book, The Salmon Fly. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If this is a fly you've tied before, let me know if you run into any issues yourself. If you notice something that I didn't do, or something that I did wrong, or something I could have done better, let me know about that too. This is one that like I said, I always struggle with this one for some reason or another. But you know, it's still a beautiful fly. And to the subscriber that so generously donated this vise, I really hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed tying it and making this video for you. So, with that being said, I hope you guys all have yourselves a wonderful day. I will see you in the next video. Take care and happy tying.